Hey guys, Brent Hull, Wednesday design video, talking about moldings, hierarchy, how to fix this hallway in this new house. Come join me. Okay, so we're working on a house in Pennsylvania. It's a newish house. There's a lot of good attributes, but there's some things that need fixing. One of them is this hallway. And so basically, I've shown you the kind of T intersection that happens on this entry. And if you look at the entry of this house and you walk in the front door, you see this, okay? If I'm standing at the front door looking into this house, I'm seeing this, okay? Now, what they've tried to do is build hierarchy in the floor with this tile, okay? And I'm gonna say that they could have done this with moldings much better. I'm gonna show you that. And so looking in, we see this formal living in the back, you know, this stairway, this entry hall, this, you know, kind of dated floor. If we go and look to the right, okay, and look down that way, we see that there's a closet door here, there's another closet door there, there's a study, there's a master bedroom here and also here. So we've got a lot of doors here and a little bit of door confusion. Notice over this doorway, what they've done is they've stuck a crown molding on top of that door casing to elevate it, okay? I'm gonna say we don't wanna elevate a closet, so we're gonna change that. But I'm gonna fix all of this with door casings, and I'll show you how. The other way, if you look down the kitchen side, so if I look this way, I see a bar door here, there's a elevator door here, there's a dining room, family room, kitchen, okay? So what's basically happening on this house is there is confusion about where you need to go and how to get there. So I'm standing, I come into that entry hall, I come into the foyer, where am I supposed to go? And my comment is that with moldings, with building up and building down moldings, I can communicate where the important spaces are and where you're supposed to go. What ideally happens is we come here and we look down and we see two spaces that communicate direction, okay? One, I want to elevate this one, okay? Now, if we look at the opening to this door, this is what it looks like, okay? It's kind of boring a little bit. The room's more exciting, that door casing. Remember, all they've done here is they got about a 4-inch door casing, and over all the doors in this entry hall, they've put a cap over top of it. And so now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 openings with door headers over top of them, okay? Yikes. Now, is that with moldings, okay, I want to do something like this, okay? I want to elevate that space, and I'm showing it a couple different ways. Now, if I go here, if we look at this door casing hierarchy, I want to go from, I'm just showing, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 6 different ways, and there's more than that. There's 7 or 8 different ways to go on this thing, but here's the simple door casing, 4 inches, okay? 4 inches should go on all the closets, should go on all the things, should be dressed down, okay? I don't want you to look at that door and go, I wonder if I'm supposed to go in there. You don't, you want to communicate that with door casings. The mid-level, I'm saying, well, just go up in size. And so for this closet door to that study, maybe that closet door is 4 inch, but the study door is a 5 inch, right? And so it's elevated a little bit. It's a little bit taller as you look at it. It's a little bit wider. So you're communicating that this is the important door, not this. And certainly the closets don't get that. You can also add a cross-setted in there. Now, I'm going to show some of the cross-setted and some of the other features here in a sec. You can go and build a little header cap, okay? You can put a little cap with a frieze over top of it. I can do something with the pulvinated frieze with more of a formal cornice in there. And I can also elevate this with a pediment, either arched or otherwise. So I can play around with, there's a dial here I'm playing with, going to communicate where you need to go. Now, this is one example I've used in the past. This is kind of the simplest form of elevation. I've got an architrave, door casing, I've got a pulvinated frieze, and I've got a cornice, okay? So I've got a bed mold, corona, cimation, right? That is this level right here. And that's a different type of pulvinated frieze I'll show you in a sec. There's one way to elevate a door that is a beautiful, simple, and lovely way to communicate, right? Now, different type of pulvination. So this frieze has a pulvination. It kind of it kind of bellies out right here, right? So that's what's meant by the pulvination. But I can also create this little S curve here. So essentially, this sits on top of the door casing, right? So instead of having that pulvinated frieze this way, I'm doing this over the door casing, right? So I've got a full entablature over top here. And then the most elevated way to do a good door casing is to add carving. So in this example, we've taken a Kuchen molding and we've carved a egg and dart in the back side and a bead and reel in the front side. And so this now, cross-headed corners, this was taken from a room at Winter Tour, but we now have this level of elevation. I didn't even show the carving in here. So, number 7 would be this with carving, right? And so there are ways to elevate and communicate. Now, look what happens here on this doorway going into here. So instead of just leaving it plain and simple, I can either cross-headed corner, wider casing that kicks up over top, stays right underneath that cornice in the room, okay? Or I do this full entablature where I've got a cross-headed corner, pulvinated frieze, and a little arch, a little pediment in there. Now, I think this is an amazing way to call and draw you into that room. You walk in the front door, you see this beautiful entry, you want to go into this space because it has this beautiful entry here. Now, when you're standing in that hallway and you look down this way, I'm showing that the way they've treated this door, they've even got a plinth on the closet door, okay? Plinths, we didn't get into plinths, but if you wanted to do plinths, that's another way to elevate a door that we don't need to do on a closet. And so I would be de-emphasizing this. I might even make that a jib door. I might even make that an invisible door so that it's a touch latch or something so that you open it. I don't want to highlight a closet door, okay? So I'm dressing all of this down. Now, when I go back to here, same thing with this. I might make that a jib door. One thing that's odd is that there's no symmetry in this hallway. I've got a door, there's nothing balancing in it, nothing balancing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to elevate this door and kind of let those other things step down. I've already said we got a 4-inch molding here. Let's do a 5-inch molding here, maybe a 5-inch molding on this door, but we're really going to elevate that master door. We're really going to, dress it up and make it look good. Going down the other way, looking towards the kitchen, we've got somewhat of a balance back here, but I've already said we're going to de-emphasize that elevator door. And then look what I'm doing with this door, right? Where I am putting more of a full entablature here just because these 3 openings are a little bit confusing. And I've got one with a pediment and then one with just the full entablature runs across there. But now by elevating this opening and elevating this opening, I'm drawing your eyes. I'm inviting you down towards these spaces so that when you come into there and you're at that T and you're at that crossroads, you look down and it's not door confusion. It's not which door do I open, where do I go? It's very clear. Hierarchy of door casings, okay, tells you where to go and where you're supposed to go next. The fact that this opening is so big and large invites you down to a family space. The fact that this opening on this hallway is elevated but it's small makes you know that the left side is the which way you're supposed to go. Right? This is a big inviting opening that there's a lot of sunlight going through there. Going down that other way, that's a private space, but I know it's important. So I probably know that's probably the master down there, but I'm going to the left because that's where the party is, right? So that's how you're walking through this and communicating. Unfortunately, okay, and this is what we're doing with the MBU coming up. There's an MBU for designers that's going to be announced very soon. We did a reel on Instagram recently, had a huge response, but this is the exactly kind of thing we're going to be teaching, that instead of trying to do your hierarchy with tile, okay, or paint or something else or faux finishes, what you're going to do is you're going to learn architecturally how to define these spaces, how to communicate where you're supposed to go so that you can create spaces that make sense. You can create spaces that there's this, okay, I know where I'm supposed to go. I know what I'm supposed to do. Not every door is important, and architecturally, I'm going to give clues, give hints about where you're supposed to go, all by just changing the moldings and how they're put together. I'm going to show you how to do all of that at that MBU. So be looking for that. That's going to be in September. I've talked about hierarchy before. Remember we looked at that Joseph Pellick house with that entry hall and how they planned with those moldings. You had this main entry that was tied into the cornice, and then the two doors on either side weren't tied into the cornice, so that there was a hierarchy. Your eye was centered and looking in the right direction. So that was an excellent example, 1928, 1930 house that had this plane with hierarchy of moldings. They even played with the cross-setted corners, where the cross-set, there was actually a kick up inside as your architrave ran across the opening. Again, giving a little bit of height, a little bit of an importance to that space. So that was a good example of, they even had a pediment going into the dining room. There was good examples of how you played with hierarchy to kind of build up importance and communicate and build beauty, right? Because that was a beautiful space, wonderfully done. Because the architecture was so grounded in that space, it worked. So be watching for that MBU announcement if you're a designer or a builder and want to learn about some of these design techniques. Let me know what you think about this thing. The door hierarchy is a great trick and a great tool to have in your bag to help make sense of these spaces that maybe weren't put together in the proper way. I'm Brent Hull. Thanks for watching.